Hi, all. I'm Cullen Haynes, and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, LawLive, episode 86. And my next guest is an absolute legend in the space, has been admitted for over 11 years, and started his firm, North Coast Criminal Law, last year for the last 12 months. So we're going to be talking about life from both sides of the bar, a criminal lawyer who has done both. So could you please make very welcome the one, the only, Mr. Jonathon Paff, Director of North Coast Criminal Law. Welcome to the show, Jonathon. It's great to have you, mon ami.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my friend. Tell us what is happening in your world in a nutshell, mon ami. What's the go?
Yeah, well, you've sort of summarised it well. I started my own criminal law firm about 12 months ago, which was roughly around the same time my wife and I had our first child. So it was a bit of a turbulent time in our lives, a good time.
Kudos.
But yeah. So I thought we might as well pull the Band-Aid off and leave my cushy government job and go out and do my own thing.
That's quite brave of you, mon ami, because I've got 2 under 3 at the moment, and I could never imagine starting a new business on our first spawn, Benji. So hats off to you, mon ami. Quite brave. 2 new endeavors at the one time.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I will add, this is live, everyone, on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, X, and you folks on TikTok. So if you've got any questions for Jonathon, we are talking everything law, criminal law. Keep it sensible, put them in the comments, and we will do our best to get back to you and maybe bring you on and shout you out. So if you could, let's have a bit of fun in here, Jonathon. If you could explain your life using just film titles, how would you go about doing that?
I think early life I would describe as super bad. So that's
I love that
high
movie.
school and university. I would describe as super bad. Then I might delve into TV to describe my life at the government as utopia. So the TV show from the ABC often felt like I was in an episode of Utopia at some of those meetings. But and then now I would say having just started a law firm, it would be Lincoln Lawyer. So
there you go. You got the super bad, you've got Utopia, and the Lincoln Lawyer. I have to ask though, going back to the first one, super bad, which character do you most align with?
Yeah, I think my friends would say probably McLovin. I reckon.
McLovin, I was going to say.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'd like to be, Seth Rogen's character, but probably McLovin.
McLovin, just one word like share, seal on the driver's license. Let's go.
Yeah.
But harking back to your roots, let's take a step back here. You grew up in Taree and built your career on the North Coast. What drew you to criminal law? And when did you know it was your calling, your vocation, if you will?
Yeah, initially I started work at some firms in Taree that did bits of everything. So criminal law, conveyancing, family law, civil, whatever came through the door, we did.
Yes.
And I guess that gave me a good grounding to know what I liked and didn't like, and what I was good and not good at. So crime was always something that sort of drew me towards it. It was a lot of the other stuff was very detail heavy, paperwork, conveyancing, all those kinds of things is very process driven, not very people driven. So yeah, criminal law initially sort of spoke to me as something that was much more interesting and sort of allowed you to get into court, be on your feet and do some advocacy and sort of make a difference to people. And then, I was lucky enough to get a job with Legal Aid in Coffs Harbour, which meant that I didn't have to worry about doing anything other than crime. So I got to focus solely on crime from, I think that was in about 2018. So I got that job. So that was, what drew me into crime.
Well, there's quite interesting because you have done both sides of the courtroom, right? Obviously, you've done legal aid, New South Wales, prosecution for the DPP. What has been the single biggest thing on that each side has taught you in your approach to law and dealing with people at the end of the day? And law is dealing with people,
Yeah, I think that remembering that you are dealing with a person on either side is very important. So, in defense, I guess it's important to remember sometimes that, we may not be able to understand why someone's done something they've done, or put ourselves in their shoes, but understanding why they might be feeling the way they are about facing the prospects of lengthy jail sentences or losing their job because they're going to lose their license and all that kind of stuff. So remembering that the reason that they're stressed and all those kinds of things are all human emotions, and helping them to understand the process so that they can sort of feel more at ease. And then from the prosecution side, I think it was realizing that, owning, that sometimes as prosecutors and police, there were mistakes made, and some of those mistakes meant that that person, didn't get the conviction that they were hoping for,
Yes.
for the person that's perpetrated a crime against them, and that person's that they're going to have to live with that for sort of the rest of their life, and it's not something that they'll easily be able to forget. So I guess always remembering there's a person there. Sometimes it can be a bit, lawyers can talk in numbers and be very blunt and have dark humor, but remembering there is a personal side to it, on both sides, and that there's someone that's either could spend some time in jail for, or if there's a victim of a serious crime who's going to be impacted by that for the rest of their life.
Yeah, yeah, well said. And I must say, like, I've know a couple of paramedics, and they always describe their job as meeting someone on the worst day of their lives. And I would
Yeah.
say that is true to a certain extent in your role on either side. So you have to remember, obviously, there's no winners in most cases in some of these cases. So
Yeah.
it takes a certain type of person like yourself to be able to juggle all that mentally and be the best advocate, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think criminal lawyers and prosecutors unfortunately spend days and days picking apart the worst day of someone's life in a courtroom, often going into incredible depth of detail and things like that. So I think appreciating that the job that we do, because of the system that we, of an adversarial system that we have, does definitely have an impact on the people that are involved in it.
Absolutely. And, most criminal lawyers pick a lane and they stay there. You deliberately cross the bar. And how has that shaped the way you defend clients today? I would love to, unpack that a little more.
Oh, I think every criminal defense lawyer would benefit from prosecuting for, I wasn't there for a very long time, but just again, interacting with victims in matters is a very big thing. It gives you a different perspective, but that also then gives you a different perspective of the role that police are performing. So similar to what you've said about paramedics, the police are the people that have to go and see these things, take the photos, get the evidence, do all those things, like their
Yes.
role. It's very easy for me to criticize them from, my air conditioned office and then in the courtroom, but they're the ones that have to make the decisions at the time. And they've got, a lot of competing priorities. So it definitely helps in terms of building relationships with people that you wouldn't normally meet or talk to. So you get to work with a lot of, police officers and detectives and things like that. And just the process side of things. So from a defense point of view,
Yes.
it's knowing what's realistic when you're talking to prosecutors. It's knowing how much work that they're doing in the background if you make an offer, it's not just that they, go and talk to someone or whether they agree with it personally or not. There's a process they have to follow in, consultation with the victims and the police and all those
Yes.
people, and
Yes.
knowing, I guess, how difficult it is to go and talk to a complainant and tell them that, their case, has certain problems and they might want to do this deal, even though they are telling you, that this all happened. So knowing, just having that understanding can be really useful.
Well said. And may I say, like, on a lighter note, is it anything like Better Call Saul or any of those shows? When you need a criminal lawyer, you need a criminal lawyer, or is it all these embellishments and things you see on TV nothing like being a criminal lawyer,
Uh,
like Saul Goodman?
I think all my mates like to call me Better Call Paff whenever something happens. But
Better Call Paff. I love that.
look, I think there's, how can I say this in a diplomatic way? I think there's some lawyers that give Better Call Saul a run for his money, and and I'm sure there's plenty of prosecutors and police that could point there towards them. But I like to think that most of us are not like that. But I've just got my first office, and it's upstairs above a takeaway store. So I think Better Call Saul's was behind a massage,
A
a nail
massage
salon, I
parlor.
think. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
massage
yes.
parlor. Yeah. So maybe it's similar in that regard. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll get you onto those bright suits in no time, mon ami.
Yeah. I'll have to
and
try.
so- but walk us through, if you don't mind, what actually happens from the moment someone is charged. When they walk out of court, what do most people get completely wrong or think they know about the process that would help people know about the process of what you do, basically?
Yeah, look, I think perhaps in the general public, there's like that, or how do you represent all these guilty people and lie and say they
Yes.
didn't do it? I think the reality is 90% of our work is what is a plea or a sentence. So someone is admitting to that they've done certain things, but they might not
Yes.
agree with. So what happens is when you're charged, the police prepare a fact sheet. Whilst it says a fact sheet, it's probably like their best summary about what they think happened most of the time. And there's some often, inconsistencies about what was said or, who started the argument, who pushed who, all those kinds of things. So there's a lot
Yes.
of negotiations about facts and charges and things we do like that. And I mean, the other thing is we're not, as lawyers, we're not allowed to ethically lie to the court. So there's a lot
Of
of,
course not.
we're not, yeah. So of course we will advise a client if they've got a legal defense to a charge or if there's been, a technicality that the police haven't followed that might mean they have a defense. But ultimately, yeah, a lot of the work is trying to explain the situation that led to the client being where they were and what happened and explaining why they won't reoffend again or why they, giving the judge in the court something that they can point to show them a bit
Yes.
of leniency and those kinds of things. So a lot of it's not the probably American version of the defense lawyer, that comes in and tricks everyone and wins the day.
Objection.
So yeah, a lot
Sustained.
less objecting. Yeah, but yeah, and then there's but then of course there's trial works and all those things, and they don't happen quickly. Like a trial can take 2 years to happen. So
Well said, indeed. And look, there's a lot of good that you do, obviously, in your role. And in 2024, you gave expert evidence to the New South Wales Parliamentary Inquiry into Drug Reform. What did that experience reveal about the gap between sometimes in law, policy, and reality? If you can, a couple of anecdotes from that.
yeah, look, I think so a lot of it. A lot of our evidence, I was obviously giving evidence on behalf of Legal Aid, which is a large organisation. So the
Yes.
position of Legal Aid was that there should be reform to, in essence, decriminalise the possession of small amounts of cannabis and other sort of basically small amounts of cannabis, but also to reform. There's a charge of driving with an illicit drug in your system, and cannabis is captured by that, but you can be legally prescribed cannabis. So you might
Okay.
ingest your legal cannabis on Sunday, drive to work on Monday, not be impaired at all, but it's still in your system, and you
It
get pulled
still
over.
registers in the system. Yes.
Yeah, you get pulled over, charged. You have to go to court. You lose your license, and then we were talking about the flow and effects of that. But I guess the disconnect that I observed was that there was universal agreement that there would only be positive impacts from the decriminalisation of small amounts of drugs and changes to driving with illicit drugs as an offence. And when I say that, the Nicholas Chowdhury, the director of the DPP, was
Yes.
for it. The Bar Association was for it. Doctors were for it. There was many people that were all for it. And politically, the government, didn't take any of those recommendations in terms of particularly to drive illicit defence for cannabis because of political reasons, I guess. So the reality is that unless there's the political landscape to make the changes, everyone from individual politicians, from groups, from prosecution, from all those things can all be pro something, but our democracy means that it needs to be passed by Parliament. So yeah,
Of course.
so everyone might think something's a good idea, but we just have to wait and see what Parliament does.
Let's see. But thanks for all the work you did on that, and illuminating, to say the least. But look, harkening back to your role now, you founded North Coast Criminal Law with a mission to be straightforward, honest, and affordable. And on that last part, why is it being so affordable so important to you, would you say, Mr. Paff? Like, is it you feel that everyone has a right to a defense? So, like, I'd like to unpack that a little more.
I guess it comes from spending a long time working at Legal Aid. So obviously representing a lot of people that couldn't afford a lawyer means that was something I was used to doing in terms of representing people from a disadvantaged background. But you don't need to be earning very much money to not be eligible for legal aid. So I saw perhaps the impact of people that weren't eligible for legal aid but couldn't afford a lawyer as well. And
Yes.
lawyers are expensive. And I say this to my clients: if I had to, fund a criminal trial, I myself, as a lawyer, would still be having financial difficulty to do that. And you need to there's really difficult decisions to be made when you are talking about funding, particularly criminal matters, which is different from often if you're suing someone in a civil setting. There's money to be
Yes.
made at the end of it.
Yes.
There's no money to be made at the end of a criminal trial. You'll either
No.
be found not guilty, or unfortunately you'll be in custody. So those are the two things you get at the end of a criminal trial. You don't get your money back very often.
Of course. The stakes
Yeah,
are higher.
so
The stakes are higher and real.
yeah. So affordability in terms of I still accept that it's expensive, but I try to be open and honest with fees and offer fixed fees and payment plans and things like that, so that people understand what the cost is, knowing that it is a massive cost. And again, as I talked about at the start, it's perhaps the biggest thing that's ever happened to this person in their life.
Of course.
So that's the stress on itself, let alone the fact that you might be asking them to divert funds from home loans, businesses, all those kinds of things to you instead.
Of course. And you're dealing with people's lives. We're just merely dealing with people's home loans, which isn't as high stakes, I must say. But so we know what a good home loan looks like. When you're running a great trial or a good defense, what does that have what does that look like if it runs the way it should in criminal law land?
Look, ideally efficient. So I think there is a lot of wasted time and energy in all levels of the court system about arguing about things that don't really matter, or about issues that don't really matter. So ideally, I think a good defense lawyer and barrister will explain that to their client, that there is some things that that while they might not agree with everything in the trial, that not every issue is important, and there's certain issues that are. So I think an efficient hearing or trial is something that focuses on the issues that actually matter, that is and is run in a way that is attempting to assist the person making the decision. So that might be a jury or it might be a judge, but it's through actually knowing your case and knowing the details and being able to point them to the things that you say either the police can't prove or that raise a defense. It's that succinct, knowledgeable, to the point and direct advocacy that I prefer. I think the days of fire and brimstone cross-examination, that goes for days on end, and that's just designed to upset people and do those things, is sort of fading away very quickly. And instead, if you can be, and I think everyone's attention spans are shorter and shorter, so you need to be getting to the point and
Absolutely.
helping them get there.
Absolutely. So you won't hear Mr. Paff say, "Do you accept?" Or
sometimes
you got to close the gates every now and then.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
What's one surprise? Switching it up here, Mr. Paff. What is one surprising skill or habit that has made you a sharper lawyer and advocate in your role?
This was tough. I think I'm a good skim reader, which like I could pick out. So I think I read a lot when I was a kid and still do. But skim reading's very important. But I also think perhaps even just becoming a parent and then realizing there's like another level of patience that you can unlock in a difficult situation. By just taking a couple of deep breaths and yeah, I think in my younger days in court and other situations, I just get angry quicker. Now I try and be a bit more mellow. Oop. Sorry, I've just lost you, Callum.
Mr. Papp, is that back?
Yeah, that's back. Sorry about that.
Perfect. I was just saying, look, you deal with a lot of high pressure, high stakes situations. How do you unwind with your family or by yourself at the end of the day when everyone's asleep? What's your favorite thing to do to de-stress?
Look, I still punish myself by playing some sports. So in the summer, I play cricket and I'm coaching and playing a little bit of rugby at the moment. And yeah, so just get into some sport. I found that as a skinny, unathletic male, that when there's a large, Fijian man running at you on a rugby field who's going to run over the top of you, you sort of stop remembering.
Steamroll.
Yeah, you stop remembering any issue you might have had at court that day because the preservation kicks in. But yeah,
Absolutely.
getting away from the law is good. And again, then yeah, spending time with family. So we like to get down to, we live sort of near the beach. So get down to the beach with the dogs and the family, or go down to
Beautiful.
the markets and stuff. Yeah, it's always getting away from the law. I think is good. Yeah, doing something
That's
that's not
important, my
law.
friend. As
Yeah,
much as we love the law, it's good to get away from it.
definitely.
Any passion projects or directions you are working toward at the moment, my friend, that you're open to share with us all?
Well, like I said, I'm coaching the Coffs Harbour Snappers first grade team with one of my friends, Mitch. So we're
Go the
hoping to
Snappers. Go the
go the Snappers.
Snappers.
Yeah, yeah. So hoping to get a premiership by in August this year. But yeah, just keep working on the business. It's new. Trying to find different
Yeah.
ways to grow. Looking at different technologies. There's a lot of, once you scratch the surface there's a lot of stuff, particularly now with AI and everything else that's
Of
happening.
course.
There's lots, trying to streamline things to give a better, better service to clients in a way that can save them and me time. Yeah, so just trying to, I guess, focus on sort of digital innovation in the business in terms of assisting people with access to their matters and to the court system and doing those things. So yeah, just keep working on those.
I'm really endeared by what you're saying about the technology piece. And it's a nice little entry point into my next question. Like, where do you see the criminal law and access to justice in regional Australia go in the next 10 years with the likes of AI and whatnot?
Look, I think that I guess the role of lawyers is going to change in that there'll be more access to more information. And when you look, we Google search things and the AI summary comes up, it's like 85% right. But it's the 15% that's wrong is the important part that really matters. So it'll give you like a general direction. But if you actually go and click on the link, it's wrong, or it'll tell you like, oh, this is the test for the appeal, but it's not actually the right test. And then you see clients self-representing and they think they've got everything sorted out because they've done their chat GPT and they've got it all sorted, but they fall over at the last hurdle. So it's definitely AI and those things. I think particularly around drafting of documents and templates and client forms, all those things, helping people with an idea of what the document should look like is fine, and that'll help and that'll increase things.
Yes.
More and more and I've been practicing for 10 years, but when I first started,
Yes.
you got a lot of statements from people. You got statements of paper and documents and things like that. Now with body worn video from police, we just get hours and hours of video. And I've got a break and enter matter at the moment where there is hundreds and hundreds of hours of video from everyone's ring cameras from all over the place. So
Wow.
That I don't think existed. Ring cameras might have existed 10 years ago, but not everyone had them. But now these days, everyone's got, there's a camera everywhere. There's a phone or whatever it is. So
Whatever it
video
is.
evidence, video evidence has just increased so much. So I think that it's becoming a criminal law in the past was a very there was lots of written statements and lots of verbal evidence, describe,
Yes.
where were you? What did he look like? What was he wearing? How
Yes.
tall was he? All those things. Now they just pull up a video and say, like, this is what happened. This is the video. So
Yes.
that's changed the scape. On a more bleak note, I would say that the criminal law is getting more difficult because the law has changed in a way that means that more and more people are being bail refused, and remand's as high as it's ever been. So remand
Okay.
means bail refused. So there's more people than there ever has been sitting in custody who have not yet been found guilty or not guilty. Well, they're just sitting there waiting for their hearing dates. So
Yes.
the government just changed the law, and that means more people are going to be in there. So we're going to have more and more people in custody. And I don't see that decreasing anytime soon because the political appetite is for tougher crime, tougher penalties.
It makes sense. And you're saying with all these changes, like in light of that, what is the most common mistake you see? Hopefully, no one is in this situation, but what is the most common mistake people make when they are charged or before they even speak to a lawyer? I know I follow one Instagram lawyer from the States. He's in his 60s. He's like Better Call Saul. He goes, don't say anything. You don't, like.
I know the guy.
Yes.
Yeah, don't say anything. It's good advice. I say this to clients. I've never seen a client talk themselves out of trouble, but I've seen lots talk themselves into trouble. So, there will be no harm. Ultimately, the person that will decide whether you're guilty or not guilty is not the police officer. It's the judge or jury.
Yes.
So, getting some advice from your lawyer and telling your lawyer what happened, and then they can make a decision about. And remembering the police have to prove everything. It's not for you to prove that you're innocent. They have to prove that you're guilty. But making that decision once you've got some advice about whether or not you want to, give a statement or speak in court. There's a lot of harm that can be done in a police interview. Often these are occurring at 3 a.m. in the morning after a big night or no
Of
sleep
course.
or so, and then all of a sudden you remember details, and all that happens is if we try and add those details in later, that everyone says you're making it up because you didn't say it when you told the police. So you have the right to remain silent, as the Americans say. That's probably the biggest one, is that you don't actually have to do or say anything when you're being arrested.
The Miranda rights. I got to stop watching TV.
Yeah.
Who has been your most influential? We obviously stand on the shoulders of giants there, Mr. Paff. Who has been your most inspirational figure in your life, mentor or otherwise, and why?
From a criminal law perspective, I was lucky enough to work with Caitlin Actor, who's a barrister now at Forbes Chambers in Sydney. But she gave me my first job in criminal law. She was my first boss. Caitlin, who's gone on to much bigger and better things than Coffs Harbour Legal Aid, but she's always been supportive of me. She's been my reference for every job I've ever applied for. So I feel bad that she's had to fill out many referee reports, but yeah, she's always been supportive of those decisions. And we had a bit of a full circle moment. We got to run when I went out to start my own firm. I got a trial, so we got to run my first trial as a private firm together, and we won. So that was a sort of a nice full circle moment where
Amazing.
it was great. So I think we're lucky. I think one of the other things that drew me to criminal law is it's very collegiate. So there's a whole group of people that we talk about issues or go and have beers after court and all those kinds of things. Whereas
Yes.
in the other sort of parts of the law, you can be in a fair barney with other lawyers quite often. So having that collegial stuff is really good in criminal law.
Absolutely. Shout out to Caitlin if you're watching or rewatching or listening. This one's for you. Final question before we get to the close of the stream. Lessons for young lawyers or professionals watching and wanting a career in criminal law. What would you say to them if you're at the start of your career there, Jonathan?
Yeah, you have to be okay with losing a lot. So I've seen it. Yeah, there's some perfectionists. I think law's a profession
Harvey
that's raw.
Specter. I've got no losses.
Well, when you work at legal aid, you get really good at losing because you lose a lot, unfortunately. But learning from your losses is very important. Any lawyer that's like, oh, I've never lost has probably never had to run a hearing for someone who's like, that's just saying they're pleading not guilty no matter what. But so you've got to be okay with losing, and you've got to be willing to put yourself out there. Sometimes you have to be the one eating humble pie for your client who's giving you some pretty ridiculous instructions, or a lot of the time the judge will, I've had this happen many times, but a lot of the times the judge will be yelling at you to make a point to your client, sort of making the point through you because you're the one that's talking. So, you've got to, I think, just be humble and realize that, it's not about you. A lot of it when you're starting, you want to get a better job, you want to progress and do better matters and do all those kinds of things, but still remembering that, every matter matters to that person. Whether it's a drink driving matter or a murder matter, they're all, they all are important to that person at that time. So try doing your best. But if you're willing to lose and you're humble, you'll probably go a long way.
No, well said there, Jonathan. And for your good self, how would you like to be one day remembered when all is said and done? How would you like to be remembered personally and professionally, my friend?
Well, I've talked a lot about trying to be succinct and to the point, so hopefully I didn't waffle too much.
You did well. You did well.
No, hopefully just as like a nice person who tried their best for their clients, and who wasn't too much of a dick to everyone else in the court system. So hopefully, nice to try to be nice as I can to everyone, and that'd be nice to be remembered that way.
Absolutely. You're already doing that in spades, my friend. And where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most if someone needs to get in touch with you, my friend?
Well, I'm based in Coffs Harbour, but we'll sort of go up and down the North Coast. But yeah, I've got our website. If you just Google North Coast Criminal Law, it comes up, and then we've got Facebook, Instagram. Numbers are there. Got all those things so they can get in contact with us. But got plenty of ways to get in contact.
Fantastic. We'll bring you back for some bonus questions, but really appreciate you being part of the show, Jonathan. It's been amazing and a nice insight into the world of criminal law. It's illuminating to say the least.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Jonathan. Bringing you back soon. And if you are a legend of law or know someone who is and you'd like to be on the show, I think we're booked up until November, so maybe we can get you in for a Christmas session. We come out every Wednesday, with either our LawLive show talking to a leading lawyer or barrister, our ledger legend speaking to a leading finance or accounting or actuarial person, and our Live with Cullen Haynes show where we talk with a general legend in the space. We obviously are supported by legal home loans and accounting home loans. So thank you to those fantastic institutions behind the scenes. And you can listen to wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in for it now, everyone. Bye for now. Make it count. And be sure to give us a cheeky follow on Apple and Spotify. Thank you so much. Bringing you back, Jonathan, if you could describe your role to your baby girl, how would you go about doing that? Like, how would you make it as simple as possible?
Helping naughty people get in less trouble.
I think that's very succinct to the point. How would your clients describe you when you are not in the room?
I would hope as helpful and understanding. Look, I'd hope that and approachable would be the idea. I try not to be too overly formal or verbose or anything like that. So hopefully, they find that I help them with their problems when they come to me.
Good man. And last one, and if you're a fan of Back to the Future, you might like this. If you could get in your DeLorean, gun it to 88 and go back in time and visit Jonathon Paff in the past, when would you visit yourself, and what advice would you give the younger Mr. Jonathon Paff?
Yeah, look, I think I sort of rushed through uni and finished uni and I did trimesters and did all those things and finished early because I thought, finish early and get a job and get started. So
Overachiever, a classic overachiever.
And then you realize once you start working, you don't really, it's a very short period of your life where you get to, hang out with your mates all the time and, go to the pub on a middle of the week and sleep in and do all those things. So, sort of enjoy those. There's no rush. There's plenty of time to work. Go take it slow, enjoy your time and, the rest will come in due course. So don't be in such a rush. It's probably been the case even in my career at the beginning, just kept looking for new opportunities and things like that. You're thinking that you got to keep doing things. So sometimes it's all right to just smell the roses.
Stop and smell the roses, take a slower pace. Great advice that we can all garner some gems of wisdom on. Thank you so much, Jonathon. Really appreciate your time today, my friend. It was fantastic.
Thanks, mate.
Bye for now, everyone. Have a happy Wednesday and get home safely if you're driving home. All the best. Take Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built legal home loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no contacts, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're